The scene that I wanted to address is that moment between Cecily and Gwendolen, where both of them believe they're both marrying the same person. What happens is, it's a ritual which is done over tea. How it is that Cecily, as the hostess at the country house, greets Gwendolen, and they have sandwiches and they have tea and so on. And it is about Gwendolen asking for sugar, asking for a particular type of sandwich and so on. And Cecily repeatedly provides her with things which Gwendolen doesn't want. These things might seem to be trivial, again, a trivial comedy for serious people, but actually Wilde is trying to make a serious point, that a certain type of class get at each other through the kinds of manners that they've made such a cultural investment in. What we see between Cecily and Gwendolen is also tensions between the country and the city. Gwendolen makes it quite clear that she regards the country as boring and can't understand how anybody could accommodate their lives to what goes on within it. Cecily has her revenge by actually giving her all sorts of things that Gwendolen doesn't want, over-sugaring the tea, giving her the wrong kind of food. As I say, what happens is within that context of ritual, we actually find a kind of war taking place. And Wilde, both humorously and also quite cleverly, wants to suggest that this is how classes get at each other, or how a certain kind of class gets at each other. How it is that they pick over each other and create war through these kinds of rituals. Gwendolen, at the end of this kind of encounter, actually registers it, as if she says to Cecily, "You have gone too far," as if they are now at war. And all of that is staged within the context of the ritual of tea. I think what's important about that is how Wilde sort of suggests that rituals themselves, in a sense, create a kind of constrained life. What he's looking for are the possibilities of freedom. And what we see in that moment is a moment of the ritual of the drinking of tea and the consumption of food actually descend into something anarchic. Because what Wilde wants to do is to show how it is that those rituals disintegrate and how it is that people can express their own personal freedoms. So the way in which he engages with the country, the way in which he engages with the idea of the country house, is precisely to set it up as a context in which he then wants to introduce these anarchic, comic moments which are fundamentally about the possibility of asserting freedom within what otherwise seems to be very kind of closed, restricted worlds which are governed by history and governed by particular cultural expectations. And it is through that, through the comedy, that he generates his own vision about anarchy and freedom.